Hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Sound Mind here on Hope TV. My name is Bryant, your host. My co-host Teresa Pryor will be joining us really soon, but I've just come to welcome you to another segment. Listen, thank you so much for your consistent support week after week after week. Where we come and have conversations not just about mental health, but we find Jesus in mental health and we marry the two together, because the conversation is definitely needed. As always, I'm going to ask you to do it. Can you please share this with your friends, share this with your family, share this with someone who you know they need to hear this today. We are talking about transition, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to get to my guest in just a moment. But as you were sharing this stream, copying that link, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., our executive producer, for all that he does in his vision for Hope TV and for Sound Mind. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. In addition to that, the people behind the scenes that make this possible every week, our graphic artists, our assistant producers, our studio workers, everyone. Thank you so much for all you do to make not just Hope TV possible, but definitely Sound Mind. I appreciate you. Well, family, every week we try to bring you a conversation, a guest that's going to be able to shed some light on possibly something you're dealing with and you're working through. Our guest today is phenomenal, Dr. Shahara Williams. Dr. Shahara Williams, affectionately known as Dr. S. She is a multifaceted, holistic practitioner. She's an author. She's a mental wellness coach. She's a motivational speaker. She serves as the CEO of Oasis Wellbeing Center and the founder of Inner Healing LLC. I'm going to tell you, there's so much that she does. She's an alumnus of the Fort Valley State University. She is a traditionally trained chiropractor as well. But her story today is going to be so impactful as we talk about from breakdown to breakthrough. Will you welcome Sound Mind family, our guest for today, Dr. Shahara Williams, and my co-host, Teresa Pryor. Hey, family.
Hey. How are you? How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good.
Welcome, Dr. Shahara. I'm so happy to have you here to see your face. Listen, y'all, yes, I feel like I need to throw some locks out because all the ladies on here got hair, and I got my little short haircut. So, Teresa, we'll talk about getting you some dread implants, put it.
No, we won't. You're gonna be as you are. That's what you're gonna be. You're gonna be Bryant. That's what you're gonna be. Yes.
We'll talk about that on another segment. But it's so good to see you, Teresa. Dr. Shahara Williams, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Dr. Shahara, I read your bio, but can you just share your story with us? I know our audience is waiting to hear from you.
Man, I'm an overcomer. I am victorious. I went from being a victim to knowing who I am and knowing that because of my story, I am here today. I show up in many different, arenas. I show up with different types of gifts, but the most important thing I show up with today is my testimony. Even if you don't know my name, like the woman with the issue of blood, you will remember my testimony. And so I am so just excited to share that because I have went through the trenches to understanding of dancing with darkness to realizing that I had to be broken to be a light, that God has called us all to be a light. And so it was in my broken season, outside of the titles, outside of the responsibilities, what I owe God is everything. And so I speak from a solid foundation of knowing that I'm not my past circumstances, I'm not my past situations, I'm not my trauma, but I am who He's called me to be. And so I show up in my authentic self with my transparency that equals transformation to share with the world that just because our present circumstance says one thing, our destiny does not stop here. And so I come to share with the world that even through your brokenness, God can use that too. Even through your mistakes, yes, God can use that too. And if we get the mindset to realize that we are overcomers, our minds and our lives begin to shift. So that's what I come with on today, is a testimony of understanding that mental illnesses does not discriminate. It starts from the pew church all the way out to somebody in the club. You understand? So it doesn't even matter how much money you have in the bank or what kind of car you drive. No matter what title they call you or what title you don't have, mental illness is real. And I love to talk about this. My personal background, raised in the church, I know how to pray. I have a praying mother. You know, my bonus father, he's a bishop. And so I understand the power of prayer and understand the power of the word. But what really helped me to come to the sound mind is getting a relationship with God. It was through not religion, but the relationship. So, you know, just briefly with my story. Briefly with my story. You want me to keep going, though? There's a pause.
You keep going. You just keep going, because I got notes. I got notes. Dr. Shahan, I know you're already blessing us.
Listen, we coming out the gate. God gave me another opportunity. I said, God, I will be the conduit to let people know that there is life outside of depression. There is life outside of anxiety. There is life outside of the suicidal thoughts. There is life outside of whatever obstacle and things that we are facing. And as a mother, just understanding the heaviness that comes with the responsibility. So my background, diagnosed with manic depression, anxiety. I have attempted suicide 3 times. Okay. Praising at church and going home and feeling like my life did not matter. Come on, somebody. Okay. Then I got so consumed with giving to other people, I forgot to give to myself, giving to my children, giving to who people wanted me to be. So then I'm breaking down mentally. So now I'm looking at the Advil bottle, I'm looking at the Tylenol bottle, and I'm saying, this time maybe it will work. But there was something that rose up inside of me that reminded me that this is not the end all. So I end up checking myself into the hospital. I said, you know what? There got to be something better than this. So I left it all. Went to the hospital. God began to speak. And I said, how did I end up here? He said, I needed to show you something. I needed you to see the people walking in the halls like they're zombies that's out because they're so over medicated. I needed for you to see this because you're coming out of this, but I need for you to see it so you can go back and you can talk to my people. About the benefit of aligning mind, body, and spirit. That as kingdom citizens, we can't just be hearers of the word, but we got to be doers. Do we take God at his word? And that's what he's calling for. Do you believe that you can have a sound mind? Do you believe that you have authority and dominion over depression? Do you believe that you can serve notice on anxiety? Do you believe? It's a belief factor. It's not that it can't be done, but do you believe? And so in that, the floor experience that I had, you know, understanding that I wasn't who people wanted me to be, but I had to be who God called me to be. And that allowed me to go through a transition. A transition of owning my identity, a transition of knowing that I have been chosen. I have been chosen. And so when we come into an identity, it begins to shift our mind. And I tell people all the time, it was not easy, but it was necessary. Let me say that again. It is not easy, but it is necessary. So here it is. I had to go get the therapist. Okay, because what people fail to realize, it's okay to have Jesus and therapy. The therapist allowed me to see more clarity. The therapist allowed me to draw closer to God because I began to take him at his word, because I wasn't so much clutter. It wasn't so much clutter in my mind. So I had to get the help that I needed. And I had to realize that I may have experienced those things, but I wasn't those things. Let me say that again. I experienced those things, but that's not who I am. It was an experience. So now God can use me in a way to remind people we can be in the darkest of the darkest. We can be in the lowest of the lowest, but he will put his hand down, bring you up to a place where your life will look totally different. And so going through those broken places, understanding that God can use that too. That suicide attempt, God can use that too. Those moments that I felt that, he forgot about me. Those moments that I felt that I was walking by myself. And I say, God, where were you? He say, I was right there. I've never left you. My word cannot come back void. And so with dealing with mental illness, getting the diagnosis of manic depression, and at one point taking that on, feeling like that's what my life was going to be, God says, no, I have plans for you. And you will be a conduit, and you will draw souls to me. I have this thing that, God, whatever I do, it will lead them back to you. God, whatever I do, it will lead them back to you, because of the fact that it was the solid rock that I had to stand that allows me to come on a platform like this and talk about the benefits and the journey of getting to the sound mind. And so, it's been a journey.
That is. Wait. I'm so wait. Like I'm up here. Hold on. Okay, I got a couple of questions, because I get it. But it's people out there who say, how do I do this? Like, they know there's somewhere that they need to get out of. How do I do that? Like, I hear you. I know what you're saying is right. How do I do that? Like, what do I do? I know what I'm feeling is not right. I know the thoughts that I'm having are not right. I know this. I'm in a depression. What's that first step? I think you said it, but I just want us to slow it down, because I need people to hear what you're saying. You're saying some good stuff.
It's so good.
What's that step? Because we got some people, especially in this pandemic and all that's going on, people are trying to navigate a lot. So I want them to know, how do we start? What's that step that they need to take to just start on this journey of coming out?
Right. The first step is coming into a sense of awareness. A lot of times people don't even talk about anything. They suffer in silence because they don't want to own it, because they don't want people to judge them or feel like that's who they are if they say that they're stressed. And so the first thing is coming to a sense of awareness that it's an experience, but it's not who you are. The next is making the conscious choice of saying, I am tired. When we get sick and tired of being sick and tired, now the choice, it's all about the choice of picking up the phone. It's all about the choice of saying, I no longer want to live my life like this. I had to make a conscious choice. And so it starts there, because nobody can help anybody if you don't come into your truth.
Yes.
So making the choice.
We gotta come into
picking
an
up the phone and say, I don't even have the words, but I just know I need help. No one is asking you to diagnose yourself. What we're asking you to do is pick up the phone, reach out for help, and say, I just don't like feeling like this. So you don't even have to go to the point of just diagnosing yourself. It's a simple clarity of saying, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of feeling like this, and I need to make some changes. Nobody can do it but you.
Yeah.
So it's a choice. It's a conscious choice and walking in your truth.
Dr. S, I want to take a moment really quickly, because you have worn me out. I'm actually glad that Teresa
keep going, because
No. You are fine.
You were fine. You were fine.
You were fine, but you have worn me out because you have spoken to me. And I know I'm a host, but I'm glad I got a co-host with me now because I almost just passed out in this chair. Like I was almost done. There were a few things you said, and I want to just touch them, and I want you to expound on them a little bit more for me. And I'm so glad Teresa even started with, like, what's the first step? But what I loved is that, you know, this is a Christian platform that we're on, but I don't even know where I want to start. You first presented that you were raised in church. You know church. You know the dancing. You know the screaming. You know the crying, you know the offerings, you know the name it, claim it, snatch it, grab it, call it, haul it. You know all of that. And in that, the words you used, you said you were dancing with darkness.
Yeah.
Can you flesh that out for me, Dr. S? Just there.
Yeah, because church can be just a familiar place. You know, we get into the habit of knowing how to do church. But what I've learned is, especially being raised in the church, I know how to do church. I know how to listen to the pastor. But what I didn't know how to do is apply it to my life. It's a sense of doing, and then there's a sense of application. And I think that's where the disconnect comes. I hear the word, I feel the word, but now the question is, how do I apply the word? And that's where the difference becomes. I know that Jesus, I know I'm an overcomer. I know I can do all things through Jesus Christ. I know the scripture, but God is saying, don't just recite it, ignite it. And that's where my breakthrough came in at. You can be the one. We've been taught in Bible study and in Sunday school how to memorize all these scriptures. We hear the pastor, we're moved to dance and clap our hands. But when the music stops, when you got to go home, you've heard the message, it's feeling in your belly, but then the enemy meets you at the door.
Yeah.
So if we are not being taught how to apply it, it's been a good word, but that's where it stops. So God's saying, take his word. That's why Christian meditation is so powerful to me. And let me tell you, Christian meditation is filling your mind with the word of God, not emptying. That's the difference. So a lot of Christians shy away from it. Oh, that's secular. Oh, that's demonic. How is it demonic when meditation is repeated over and over in the word? So we can't just be reading things. We got to apply it. And so when you begin to meditate on God's word and filling your mind with it, it allows you to really take God at his word, but then begin to ask God, help me to walk this thing out. Praying is talking to God. Meditation is listening. Some of us hear, but we don't listen. And there's a difference between hearing and listening. When you listen to something, that means that it's time to walk it out. I can hear my dog barking, but right now that's not my focus. When I begin to listen, that means that I'm going to ignite something. It's time to move. So as kingdom citizens, we can't just take a good word and hear it. Now we got to listen and say, God, how do I apply it? That's the difference.
When you said earlier as well that you began to have a relationship with God, because the application is the thing that pushes you to have a relationship with God. Because when you begin to apply it and see it in your life, that's where your relationship is formed and forged. Would you say? Is that kind of how that works?
Absolutely. Because if I'm spending time with you, that means I'm getting to know you. And the more we spend time with God, the more we see ourselves. The more things are revealed, the more we come into a sense of awareness. And spending time with God, that's like if you're building a new relationship. If you see that person only once a week on Sunday, Kingdom, That means that you may know him, but you don't really know him. You're not in a relationship. But when you're trying to build a healthy relationship, it takes time. It takes cultivation. It takes nourishment. It takes, being in his presence in order to get to know him. He says, my sheep will know me by my voice. But if you can't hear him, and if you don't know his voice, how can you move? And so there's a difference. There's a difference. Relationship over religion. I know religion. I know how to do church. I know how to shout. I know how to ring the tambourine. But do I know the God in the silence? Do I know the God in the stillness? Do I know the God in the dark places? Do I know the God outside of the pulpit? Do I know God outside of the church pews? Do I know God for myself? Or do you only know when somebody's talking to you? There is a difference.
Dr. S, I'm going to send you a message because I'm about to pass
it's
out.
Unreal. It's unreal. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I am so grateful that you were sharing with us today. And I want to take a moment. If you are watching this and someone's name is ringing in your ear and you're like, oh, they need to hear this. Don't wait. Tag them right now. They can come and see it later. Send it to them in a text message. Find a way to get this to them because someone out there is silently suffering.
Yes.
They are silently suffering.
Yes.
And Dr. S is giving you the keys now. There's something you touched on, Dr. S, and Teresa's going to laugh at me when I mention this. So just keep your eyes over there, Teresa.
If she can.
Dr. S, you said you have spent so much time, tag a pastor, somebody. You have spent so much time giving to others that you have not given back to yourself. And when we talk about mental health, what we don't understand is our emotional and mental currency is depleted and we never do anything to reinvest. Can you help us there, Dr. S?
Listen. One of the things that my pastor, Wendell Jones at Changing Your Mind Ministries taught me, I went to him and I said, I am done with people. I'm over them. He said, why? You just don't know how to set boundaries. You don't know how to, you mad at other people because you don't know how to set boundaries. They only do what you allow them to do. And one of the things that freed me, he says, where did you give your worth away to? Where's your worth? Who did you give it away to? Because when we come into a sense, we can serve other people, but the first vessel should be ourselves. So if you haven't served yourself, are you really doing what God has asked us to do? Love your neighbor as thyself. But do you, in that servitude, love, self-love, worth, all of these things? How can you give something that you don't have? How can you give something that you're not replenishing? But you're mad because you don't understand that no is a complete sentence? People will do what you allow them to do. No is a complete sentence. I can't do that right now. I got to make sure I'm aligned, mind, body, and spirit. I love you. Delegation. I'll get back with you. Let me know. Let me look at my calendar. But we got to set boundaries for us because we can't get mad at people when we are saying yes, yes, yes. Every time you say yes to somebody else, you're saying no to you. How many of you can continue to say no to yourself?
Yes. Say that.
But you man, I serve. God has called me to serve. And you know what? You can serve, but if you have not seeked his face first, you can still be out of order. Come on, somebody. You serving, but you out of order because you didn't even seek God's face about if that was even something that you were supposed to sign up for. So now you're mad because you're tired and you're out of order because you're doing things ain't nobody called you to do. God didn't tell you to be over there. You missing what he's calling you to do because you over there because you want to be seen.
Ma'am. Now listen, Dr. S, ma'am.
Welcome to Sound Mind. Welcome to Sound Mind, everybody. This is what we do.
Yeah, Dr. S.
Teresa, you go.
She got a ear. She leaves out with an ear. Teresa.
Ask me how I know, Teresa.
Dr.
Giving
S,
from
how
an
you know
empty
this?
cup.
How do you
Giving
know?
from an empty cup depleted me. And here I am giving all to somebody else's vision while my vision over here starving.
Ma'am.
I'm spiritually
Ma'am.
dehydrated because I'm everything else to
Ma'am.
everybody else, and I'm not allowing the well to run through me. Ask me how I know, Teresa.
How you know, Dr. S? How you know?
It put me right over there in the hospital trying to figure it out.
Wow.
Because of the fact my mental state, I was not in alignment with what God was calling me to do. We all
So
are
let me
birthed
ask this
on
question.
purpose.
Let me ask this question. So can you be, you just said something. So you're spiritually, you were one place, and mentally you were somewhere else. So you were like misaligned. Like, are you trying to tell me? You trying to tell me things can be misaligned? Were you misaligned?
Misaligned, just like chiropractic care, how our spine can get out of line, our mind can get out of line, our body can be out of alignment, our spirit can be out of alignment. Because how many times do you know you can be in church worshiping, but your mind is somewhere totally different? But you're going through the familiar, you clapping and you're present, but you're not present. And we serve an all-present God. You either going to show up in this moment or you're going to miss it. Omnipresent. That means that tomorrow is not here. Yesterday is gone. He said, moment by moment, I will meet you right where you are. So we missing it because our mind is far from him. And where your mind is, your heart goes. So where you at? Because you're not in the vein. So yes, you are spiritually misaligned.
Dr. S, I'm gonna let Teresa breathe for a second because you also and we have about 5 minutes. Sound Mind family, you know this time goes really fast, and I'm gonna try to get this question out and some other stuff. Tag somebody, y'all. Tag somebody. You need to hear this. Share. You talked about being your authentic self. Now, when we say, I need you to do two things for me. I need you to define what it means to be your authentic self. And then I need you to talk about the dangers of not being your authentic self in the way of hypocrisy when you are trying to be what you call yourself, but that's not really who you are. Can you just touch that real quick for me?
Yeah.
Listen, authenticity is walking in your truth. What is your truth? Not the truth that has been made up by your circumstances, situations, your obstacles, your traumas. What is your truth now? And when you show up right where you are, that's where God can use you the most. So authenticity for me is showing up, speaking my truth, taking off the mask. It's too hot for it, for one thing. But can you not really ask God to reveal to you who he's called you to be? There is no fingerprint the same. Each one of us have our own makeup of DNA that incorporates God's DNA because we're made in his image. And anytime we are not working and walking in the vein of his image of who he's called us to be individually, it causes discord. It causes bipolar, multi-personality disorders. It causes you to be anxious because there's something that's inside of you that wants to face truth, but you keep suppressing it because they told you not to talk about it. So authenticity is being truthful with yourself. And when we don't do that, it causes discord in our spirit. It causes us to run, look for validation here, look for validation there, and look for showing up to have this image that you got it all together, but you're broken. Makeup beat, dressed down, carrying the designer, but you're broken. So are you really doing God the service that he's looking for? So we got to get out of our own way. And that's why it's so important that we have inner healing, because it's something, the underdevelopment that happened that keeps us stagnant in this place to where we don't
Yes.
want to even do what I call soul work to
Yeah.
release stuff
Yes.
so we can be free. Because God says that we are free and we are free indeed. But God is truth. So if you're living a lie, God can't dwell in lies because he's the truth, which is the light. So that's where there's a difference. Own your truth and everything else will fall into place. So that's
Dr.
my
S.
show up.
Dr. S, I love you. I love you. I love you so much. We're bringing you back.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring you back.
Oh, yes.
So
Oh, yes.
we'll get
Oh,
to
yes.
talk about it. Family, if you are enjoyed this, have enjoyed this, I need you to go in the comments. Dr. S, if
Absolutely.
you don't,
Absolutely.
So let me tell y'all this. Dr. S is not a preacher in the pulpit every Sunday. She works with corporations, companies, all across this country and the world, teaching this in every sector. You are getting something that's worth more than anything you could possibly pay right now from this. And I hope you are taking this. Dr. S, if we want to get in contact with you, how do we do that? Tell us about your website, your business. We need to know that.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, what I have now is God has launched something, Teach Me How to Breathe Again. That means that even through all of that, there is a fresh wind that God is calling forth for the kingdom to breathe the ruach that blows in our nostrils so that we can be compelled to go after all that he has for us. So DrSspeaks.com, Teach Me How to Breathe Again is what I'm doing now. God is doing some mighty things. We're going to break free, family. We're not going to be identified by our traumas, but we're going to really take God at his word. We're going to allow this fresh wind. So that's what I'm on a mission to do. I want to go all over the world because God has a word for the kingdom about mindset, about therapy and Jesus and therapy. And here it is. We're going to break that negative stigma in the kingdom and in the world. So this is what I'm doing. DrSspeaks.com. DrSspeaks.com.
Thank you so much, Dr. S. Listen, you have her information. Everybody, go follow her. Her Instagram information is right there below. Please go follow her information. Dr. S, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Teresa, do you want to say something to Dr. S before we close out?
All I can say is thank you. We enjoyed this so much. Thank you for my therapy session. I appreciate you.
Dr. S, you're phenomenal. We will be bringing you back. And let me just say to those that are watching now, you have everything you need inside of you to get that sound mind. But it takes awareness. It takes you being your authentic self. You might dance in darkness, but the first line out of Dr. S's mouth is, I went from being a victim to an overcomer. That's not just her testimony. That's yours as well. I don't care if you're depressed. I don't care if you're sad. I don't care if it's just been a really bad month already. It's not the end. Dr. S has shared that with you today. So thank you for joining us.
Your destiny does not stop here.
Your destiny doesn't stop here. I can't let her loose, because if I let her loose, we're going to go another 10 minutes and Dr. S is going to wear me out. But Dr. S will be joining us again. Family, thank you for joining us with Sound Mind. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care.